Warriors, welcome to another video on my channel. Today's video is going to be a very real and honest video of what's been taking place in my life in the last 4 or 5 months. And I hope that some of you will be able to relate to some of the things I'm going through, either directly or sort of indirectly. But I just wanted to share with you what's been going on lately in my own life so that you can understand sort of why I haven't been posting as much on social media or being as engaged and all that. So, my friends, about 4 months ago, I was starting to experience a lot of pain in the lower region of my body, testicular pain on the right side, and it prevented me from playing paddle tennis and being active and doing things with my son, you know, and I found myself more and more immobile as the time went on. And I said, well, for someone who's so active, you know, this isn't the way I'm used to living my life. And so I went to the doctor's office. They did some manual tests, and they also did an ultrasound. And what came out of that ultrasound was an indirect inguinal hernia. And I started to think to myself, wow, could an indirect inguinal hernia cause so much pain in that lower region? Apparently it could. So I went online and I started to investigate some other success stories on how they handled this and such. And the thing that I came across most than anything else on Google and YouTube was the fact that you need to have a surgical procedure for that hernia. There really is no other way to repair the hernia other than surgery. Now, I like to think of myself as healed of all those past anxiety disorders, right? And that's why I'm here and able to do what I do and share my experience and knowledge with you. So I've left that world behind me, but at the same time, when the word surgery came up, there was as the lights go down, there was a bit of an association there. A bit of a negative or fearful association, because I understand that surgery is necessary for certain circumstances and for people, of course, most definitely. But for me, deep down, I always felt like it was some sort of an intrusion of the body, and it didn't really sit well with me. At the same time, after the diagnosis of the inguinal hernia, I had this intuitiveness to just keep going. I don't know where that intuitiveness came from. I don't know where that spark came from, but it told me to not give in. You know, I heard the words, don't give in, don't give in. And so how I responded to that was, or how I interpreted that was, don't give in to the surgery. And doctors will think you're nuts, and most people around the world who are familiar with hernias, and sometimes rightfully so, will tell you, yeah, you're nuts, just go get the hernia, the surgery done, get it over with, right? But again, I was listening to this part of me that said, just hold off a bit. A few weeks went by, and the pain was getting worse, and during that time period, I found myself doing as many natural things as I could to heal the inguinal hernia on its own. Because a hernia is a protrusion of an organ or an intestine or a bowel intrusion through the abdominal wall, I learned that, you know, the abdominal wall, that area, is quite weakened. And because it's weakened, you know, there's a protrusion going on through there. So I thought to myself, well, if I strengthen this area, this lower abdominal area, and really watch my diet, is there a possibility that this could go back up, right? And then I could get back to normal and the pain would subside. So the weeks went by and I really focused on natural, and I was doing the gingers and I was doing the turmerics, and I mean, you should have seen me. I was doing ab exercise after ab exercise. You know, I actually have a bit of a six-pack now, which is crazy, after having this massive tire of a stomach before, right? So in so many ways, my life improved because of the hernia. And so I went to get an ultrasound, a second ultrasound, to see where this was at this point. And the second ultrasound was different than the first. The first ultrasound said partially strangulated. And if a hernia gets strangulated, then that's a medical emergency right there, right? Because you don't want to be messing with strangulation around inguinal hernias. So the second ultrasound came out, and it represented a reducibleness to it, a completely reducible, and it seemed to be a little bit more milder as a diagnosis than the first time, which led me to think, maybe I'm on the right track here, right? Now, I really want to share this message with you today that, and I'm going to get to the end of the story, of course, and where I am today with all this, right? But I really want you to understand something, and that is that if it wasn't for the original hernia diagnosis, there were so many aspects of my own life that I would never have recognized and altered. And as we go about our lives, if something feels bad or something feels wrong, more often than not, we judge it as being bad or wrong. But you know what I started to do? I started to thank my hernia. I started to thank this physical disability. You know, I was the kind of person, and this is a very, very important word, I was the kind of person that was stuck in a cycle of doership. And what I mean by doership is, I mean striving, I mean fighting, I mean adding more to your to-do lists, I mean overthinking, right? And all these things, and these sorts of things appeared in my life more recently, right? And the hernia gave me the opportunity to see beyond what was really taking place. You know, I really fixed my diet, really did, right? I thought I already had a pretty good hold over my diet, but I really fixed that. I was starting to become a little bit irritable, to be honest with you, living in a place like Bali, Indonesia, where, you know, the traffic is very, very tight, and it's tough to get places, and you're basically risking your life out there on a scooter and all these other things, right? So they were starting to pile up, and because of the hernia, it gave me the opportunity to really slow down. I wasn't able to run. I wasn't able to do any of these sports and stuff. So I was laying down a lot and doing those ab exercises and a lot of meditation. It gave me time to contemplate and reflect on things. So I started to thank the hernia. I started to say, thank you so much for pointing things out. I would have never recognized all this. At the same time, I started to find that I was getting closer to my deity, my source energy. And I started to find that I was even closer to my own higher self within me. No longer was my ego and my inner child running the show and running my interpretations and my perspectives over things during this chapter in my life, but rather I started to get back in touch with my higher self. And when I mean higher self, I'm talking about a place of unconditional love, starting with yourself. You know, so often we look at ourselves and we say, I'm just not good enough. I look in the mirror and I wish, you know, my nose wasn't that way, or I wish I wasn't so, you know, chubby or skinny or this or that, you know, and that's all part of a fearful conditioning that we're brought under. But, you know, recently I've been so emotional because I've been connecting to this unconditionally loving part of me once again called the higher self. And things that used to be irritating now, you know, I really feel like I'm making peace with. And moving on in the story, about a week ago, I got severely sick. I couldn't hold any food or any drinks in my tummy. I was throwing up rapidly. It was disgusting, I'm sorry. But not only that, I had a massive fever. I had that whooshy feeling, you know, the dizziness and such. And it just came on so strong. And I said, I gotta go to the doctor. I gotta get to the hospital. So myself and my fiance Robin, we got in the car, we went to the hospital, and we started to do the tests, okay? One of the fears I had was, again, strangulation around the inguinal hernia. If that was the case, then I would definitely need the surgery, you know, that night or, you know, very, very quickly, because that's a life-threatening possibility. Right? So on the back of my mind, I also wanted to make sure it wasn't that. And also, is it related to, you know, the current pandemic, right? So there I was in the hospital a third time. And the doctor recommended that as I do these tests, the urine test and the blood test and all these things, just to get everything checked out, that I stay a night or two. So I decided I'll stay a night, and a night turned into 2 nights, right? And so during those 2 nights, I had another ultrasound done. And during that ultrasound, they wanted to check for strangulation and such. There were 3 different doctors that came around and manually checked everything down there. Right? And man, I've never had so many people, you know, you know, at a short period of time. But anyway, it happened. And what came out of it wasn't an inguinal hernia. And this isn't a common story. You don't hear about this all the time, but it's a possibility for, I believe, anybody. The diagnosis was right orchido epididymitis, okay? And this infection of that area was the thing that apparently was causing the pain that was starting to infect the inguinal area, surrounding areas, that was again causing more pain. And when I saw this diagnosis, there was a part of me that said, yes, I will not need surgery, nor will I have to deal with this hernia and the repercussions of the hernia coming back in the future if I do, in fact, get active again, and so on and so forth. But there was a part of me that was really excited about not having the hernia, but there was another part of me that said, is this really true? Like, it's not possible, you know. On paper, it says that you can't heal this naturally, or what happened? Is this some kind of a spontaneous healing that occurred? So there I was, you know, still going through the flu that I was, and laying on the hospital bed for those 2 nights, and I came out of it with this new outlook on life, you know, and I was looking at life and going, wow, you know, we really do have the potential to heal. And honestly, my friends, speaking to you in this video right now, I don't know whether this was a spontaneous remission or whether it was misdiagnosed in the beginning. I don't know, and I don't believe that anybody will know. But a part of me believed and had the faith that that if I could just connect with an outside source and an inside source that could activate some kind of healing, and I could do the right things to align myself with that physical healing, that it was a possibility, okay? I'm not saying that if you have an inguinal hernia, you know, do what I did, but I'm saying accept the possibility that if you align yourself with the right mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual alignment, that there is a possibility that you can in fact heal your hernia naturally. And again, I'm not promoting that, right? But there is a possibility of that. But I remember during this time period of going through such emotional ups and downs, you know, posting on Instagram, posting on Facebook and doing the lives, as much as I wanted to do them, my mind was stuck on the hernia for a long time, and the pain, because the pain was just so much. And still is, right? I'm on the antibiotics and painkillers and such, and seeing where it's going to go in the next few weeks, of course, right? With tremendous faith. But I want to say that I'm sorry that I haven't been there for you guys with the full heart lately. And I want to say that I care about you all so much. I really do. Every comment, every like. I understand. I really understand what life is like in the different chapters of anxiety healing. But I also understand what it's like now to go through the physical aspect of things and how difficult that is, and how obsessive we can be mentally over this pain and this distress, disease or illness, whatever it is we're going through. But while at the same time, I want you to understand something, that if you can really understand the idea of unconditional love, if you can understand the power of non-doership, and when I mean non-doership, I mean taking a step back from things and really looking at your life from the outside and going, am I putting myself first? Am I relying only on my mind to solve problems? Am I overwhelmed right now? Am I taking too much on? Am I trying to force a result, right? That's all doership. If you can connect with your higher self, if you can begin applying non-doership, if you can begin having the faith that you can trust in a path or a journey that isn't really spoken about very often online, I believe that we have such a power within us to heal pretty much anything. And that's the truth. But as I mentioned, you know, the stars must be aligned, right? Mentally, you have to make sure that you're persistent. Emotionally, you must understand that it's okay to express yourself in every which way, because a lot of the illnesses and a lot of the anxieties are coming from a lack of expression, and that's called suppression. The more we suppress, the more pain we experience. Whether that's emotional or physical pain depends on the body. So the mental, the emotional, the physical. So you're making sure that your diet is very clean. Very clean. Okay, I'm talking about a discipline that only a small amount of people can really follow through on. But once they follow through on it, it becomes something that they really fall in love with, because the results are so great, right? The gastrointestinal problems go away, the belching goes away, the bubbles in the stomach go away, and all these other things, right? So that's important. And spiritually, what's very important on the healing journey that we're all on is the reconnection. My friends. Many times when we live in the city, I find that it's very difficult to reconnect with source energy. And you can call that God. You can call that whatever you'd like, you know, spirit. You can call that deity. You can call that whatever you'd like. It's up to you, right? Whatever speaks to you is correct. It doesn't matter what your mom believed. It doesn't matter what your dad believed. It doesn't matter what your family believes. What's important is what are you pulled towards, okay? If you're pulled towards a certain religion or spiritual practice and connection, then you need to move towards that with such curiosity, the kind of curiosity as a young child has, right? And if you do that, then I promise you doors are going to be opening up to you. You're going to start understanding things that you never understood before. And this is kind of the balance between doing and allowing. So the spiritual aspect of healing for me has been tremendous, and often most people around you will not understand, nor will they accept the spiritual aspect of your healing, but that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point of all this. They're not supposed to understand because they're caught up in their own stuff and they have a journey to run themselves. But what's interesting is the right people and the right words and the right information will come to you at the time that it's supposed to, right? So many people out there suffering from anxiety and other physical problems, you know, go, well, I don't understand something, right? Well, maybe you're not supposed to at this point. Maybe you're supposed to dial back a bit and to allow the answers to come over time. But I want you all to know that I'm here with you. I want you all to know that as much as I'm going through this pain and this subsiding of this chapter in my life and getting back to who I was, but even better, I'm really looking forward to the next chapter together with you, my friends. And understand that no matter what you're going through right now, you are the sculptor, right? You are the sculptor. And often we think that because a bad experience like an illness or a disease or anxiety happens, that it's a setback. It's not a setback. Right? Very often when those bad things happen, those are the best things that can happen to us if in fact we treat them properly, if in fact we approach them properly, if we have the right mindset and work with them, right? When you can get to a point where you thank your anxiety, when you can get to a point where you thank your hernia or your past hernia or your epididymitis, right? I mean, you can get to the point where you can thank your illness, you can thank your disease, you can thank your disorder. When you can do these things, then you're at a place that most people will never ever be able to get to. And when you're in that sort of alignment, right, the tension starts to subside. When the tension subsides, you're starting to let go of the old conditioning. The old conditioning is starting to die off, and what's happening is you're in a place of creation now, right? And so I want you to deeply understand that, my friends. We all have the capability to get there. It's not a good or bad experience. It's the exact experience that you need to continue molding yourself into the person that you're meant to be and moving yourself into the purpose and mission that you're meant to experience, my friends. And so I just want to say, I love you all so much, and I'm so, so proud of each and every one of you for having the courage to take on this journey. This journey is not easy. Life is not easy. We're all trying to figure it out. We're all in this together in this way. We really are. And I'm so blessed to be a part of this community, and I'm so blessed to know you and to help you and to know your trust. Remember that you are more than anxiety. You are more than your illness. You are more than your disease. You are more than your thoughts. You are more than your feelings. You are more than your emotions. You are more than your past conditioning. You are more than your parents. You are more than your past lives. You are more. And you're just starting to see it, my friends. Comment below on the biggest message from this video, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.